It's a hell of a book. It's a good book. Yeah, I mean, from a queer perspective, bell hooks can get overwhelming, I think, maybe for some listeners because, she's speaking about her experience. She grew up in the 50s in a rural situation in a black household. And she does, I think, she passed away in 2021. I'm not sure when this book came out originally. But, she does speak in binaries a lot about men and women, which can be, I know, challenging. Like, there certain sentences give me pause. But I think, we'll get into the grayer areas of all these gendered thoughts, hopefully in our conversation with Ono. So let me see if I can. You free? Perfect. Look at that timing. It's like we planned this shit. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do a number of things now. Give me a moment. I'm gonna call Ono on Discord. No, first I'm gonna route the audio so that we don't have that awkward moment where I can hear him, but he can't hear me, or vice versa. Okay, input device, output device. You're gonna output over here. Hopefully, let's check. I think I saw. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Doing little sobs over there, Mac. That'll keep them on their side of the cubicle. That's one way. It's one way to do it. Okay, so we'll leave. Let's leave Minecraft. Let's leave Nanoland. Let's head to the locker room. Let's head to the locker room where bros can be bros. You know what I mean? This is the part of the stream where you might see an old guy's balls. Where am I? I'm here. Nope. Yep. Oh, make him a little smaller. Put him over here. Okay. And then let's call Ono. Let's see if this works. I don't hear anything. First problem. I don't hear anything. Sorry, Ono. Oh my god. I bailed. I'm trying. Oh, wait, now I hear something.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah. What's up? I can hear you. You can hear me. Can chat hear you? They can hear you. And boom. There you go. Now you're on screen too.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
Welcome. How's it going?
I'm good. I like the very accurate. That's exactly how I'm dressed right now. That stream picture, actually.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I figured the easiest way to get a screenshot. How's your day? How's it all gone out there? Where do we find you?
All right. I'm lying on my office floor in the sunshine.
Nice. Fuck. Wish I was lying on the floor now. Instantly jealous.
Bit of floor time. I bet my cat is trying to stick her head in my glass of water.
Nice.
Which I'd really rather she didn't do.
Yeah. Can anything bad happen if they drink your water and then you drink your water? Because my cats drink my water a lot.
As long as they and/or you are wormed, I think you're all right.
Yeah, we're I think I've had my shots. I think. Let me chat. How's the volume? Are we at equal levels? Gram-negative bacteria? Is that a thing? Oh no, should I worry about that? I can turn into a cat. Oh jeez. All right. Oh no.
It's more likely you'll get some sort of like lovely brain parasite.
That's not the worst way to go. Diet as I lived. I mean, I do. I get rid of it. If I see them drink it, I get rid of it and get a new water. But sometimes I'm like, I probably don't see them drink it. You know? I don't know.
Yep.
I ask myself the big questions. I'm not afraid to. So you read this book too, huh? I
Yeah,
wasn't even expecting you to do
yeah.
that. What'd you think?
I yeah, I took notes. I have notes.
Notes, nice. I like it. Fuck yeah.
um, I think the point you made just before calling me was quite evident for me. The like this book feels very of its time and place for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's definitely like it. I mean, no book can ever speak to all experience, right? But like that, it could do with some queering and some transing could be happening.
Yeah, I feel like honestly that was happening for Belle like right at the end of her life. Like in
Yeah.
2021, I watched her have a really cool. She did like a residency at the New School in New York, and
Hmm.
she like opened her institute where she was housing all her writing and stuff. And she had like some real cool conversation with like Laverne Cox that was really good.
Hmm.
It's on YouTube, but I feel like she was just kind of becoming more aware um,
Mm.
of transness in general, and probably, I
Hmm.
mean, you know, having with her legacy and stuff. Yeah, so there is that thing
Mm.
always of like the kind of binary gendered stuff in her writing. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like that's okay. Like no, no one person can like we can only reflect what we are, right? We can't be everything.
yeah,
So
yeah. So what did it bring up for you? What were you? I got some questions and stuff, but yeah, what you want to talk about?
I think probably the bit that I think the thing with this book is it like didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, but it articulated it in a really interesting way.
Yeah,
Um, and I think what reading this sort of brought me back to or reminded me of is something that often gets lost and was sort of part of the bit you were reading, the end of the chapter you were reading, which is about how men are um, so restricted by patriarchy, and that is policed by everyone, women as well.
yeah,
Um, that the like no wonder masculinity is in the shape it is, right? Because patriarchy does a number on you, and then everyone else enforces that. And if you, it's hard, you know, it's a touch easier in some spaces now to flex masculinity a bit and play with it and that kind of stuff. Like a lot of work in the queer community has happened around that, and I think that's suffused into mainstream a little bit. But still, like
you said
you've got
flex
so many.
masculinity. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, but still, for the vast majority of guys, the options they've got are really, really fucking narrow.
Hmm.
And the other bit that came through was the like we talk about male violence and male anger, but like anger hides grief and pain,
Yeah.
and men aren't really allowed a little bit more now, but broadly aren't really allowed to feel those things. So anger's like the only emotion you're allowed to have.
Yeah. That was a big revelation for me when I read this book, and it so much so that I made it a line in the song "Boys to Men" where I said like that's expected at an adolescent age because the only thing that's socially accepted is our rage, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that one really rang true for me. And if I mean, I've been aware for a lot of my life that rage is the dominant emotion that I work from.
Uh-huh.
And
Same.
yeah, I just like at a certain point I was just like, well, I guess I just have to harness it and let this be the thing that drives everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, when I think about like my 20s to like last year, like I mean, honestly, my surgery was a big breaking point for me because it shut down so many of the possibilities of rage. You know, it made rage immediately
Mm.
physically damaging to me in a way I could feel.
Mm.
So I but even still, that was, that was 5 years ago, and I'm still struggling to get beyond rage to the
Yeah.
shit that's underneath.
Hmm. Yeah, same for me. And I think with trauma in the mix, the rage that often comes from trauma, particularly early trauma, feels like a bottomless well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's yeah, I think like anger has always been my go-to emotion for any response. Really,
Mm,
it's sort of the easiest one for me to access.
yeah.
Um, which is interesting because post transition, my anger is partly I'm in a healthier place,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I'm allowed more anger post transition
Mm,
by society than I
mm-hmm.
was pre transition.
Mm,
Um, because of, partly what's in the book is that like anger, you're allowed anger as a man.
mm-hmm.
You're allowed to feel it and show it to an extent, or I don't know about allowed is quite the right word, but sort of expected.
Yeah, I think so.
Whereas like women and femme people are not allowed that emotion.
Mm,
Um, so that's been interesting. I think the interesting thing for me in all of this, and maybe we'll get into this a bit today, is like the first 30 years of my life, the world saw me as the wrong gender.
mm-hmm.
And uh, so the majority of my life, I'm 40 now, be 41 soon. The majority of my life, I've existed on the sort of flip side of patriarchy in terms of how other people treat me and to an extent how I conceptualize myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now I'm on the other side.
Yeah,
So I've experienced both bits, which I think gives me an interesting perspective on a lot of this.
for sure. I'm very interested in it. Yeah, I'm interested in childhood, like how you felt, like while being socialized one way,
Uh-huh.
feeling another way. Um, yeah. What do you think of the marble story? You have some of that. You probably have some of those. You know what I'm
Yeah,
referencing? Yeah.
yeah. Loads of them.
Mm.
And I think um, so I didn't kind of realize that I was trans until like early 30s.
Mm.
And it sort of coincided with a bit of a breakdown. I think I kind of needed to have the breakdown to realize
Mm.
like I needed to sort of break through reality a little bit and then be like, hang on,
Mm.
hang on, hang on.
Mm.
Uh, there's a voice in my body, in my head that has been there the whole time and I've been ignoring it and I need to listen to it now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, less that I was ignoring it. It's more like it was speaking a language that I didn't know what it was.
Mm.
And then I tuned into it and I was like, oh,
Yeah. Mm.
oh, that's what this is. Okay. What the fuck does this
Yeah.
mean?
And that voice, yeah. So that was just the thing that you were just avoiding, like, or kind of keeping in a nonverbal place where it just didn't have
Yeah,
access to your, like, it just was a generalized feeling. Just, yeah.
yeah. It's I think non-verbal is a good way to put it.
Mm.
Um, because it was deeply in there, but I couldn't kind of access it.
Mm.
I couldn't work out what it was.
Mm.
I just knew there was like something wasn't right, but who the fuck knows? And when you mix that with trauma and being autistic, like trauma makes you feel like there's something, childhood trauma particularly, makes you feel like there's something wrong with you anyway, because that's why the things have happened to you.
Yeah.
So you have that sort of deep unease in there somewhere. Then being autistic obviously does, because you feel like a fucking alien walking around on the planet. And then the gender stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
It had
a lot of things to unpick to
Yeah.
work out what the fuck it all meant, basically.
Right. But you have transitioned, and so you've come now to like let those parts of yourself be expressed openly in the world. So I'm curious, like what are they? What they do? What do you like when they do? What do you what are their names?
The interesting thing about it is, like, you know, the funny thing about being trans is, have you ever seen that meme? Llama will have seen this meme where it's a picture of like some Greek philosophers talking, and it's like talking about gender with trans people, and then there's a picture of like a mum explaining something to a baby with like blocks, and it's like talking about gender with cis people.
Word. Yeah. Lay out the blocks for me. Show me the blocks. What kind of blocks you got? Show me your magnet tiles.
It's
Well,
I think
I'm
when you're
curious for the perspective of masculinity. You know, like if
sure,
if what you're saying is like, you know, that was the voice of the masculinity you wanted to express. Because something I think about a lot is like, you know, I hear, you know, I see feminist thought, and then I also see like this kind of weird woo woo spirituality thought that talks about like the divine masculine, you know, or like these, you know, like, and I'm always just like, is there an inherent thing? Is there a outside of patriarchy? Is there a masculinity? You know, and what is it? And what is it? The pure expression of it? You know, like that's in people that, or is there any such thing? Is that all just like, you know, obviously gender is a spectrum, but I am, you know, when you hear people talk about masculinity, like, does it exist? Are we talking about a unicorn? That might be a good place to start, you know?
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm going to answer that with a question.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you know you're male?
Yeah. How does
How do
anyone
you know you're a guy?
Yeah. How do I know I'm a guy? Fucking, society treats me as a guy. I'm way more aware of the ways in which gender is performative.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, I'm aware that like if I put on different clothes, like I could be, you know, or you know, that clothing and makeup is a massive part of gender. And have queer friends who like choose day to day where on the spectrum they'd like to be treated by society, and just adjust gender as needed. So yeah, how the fuck, like, and that's why, you know, all these notions of divine masculine and stuff. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, is there any at all, you know, traits that are anchored to gender? I don't I don't see any or know any. You know, all I know is like how people are socialized, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's it's funny because like, and this is why I mentioned the meme. So if I wanted to stay in the like blocks level of gender, right?
Yeah.
What I would say right now is like, you know, I have an innate sense of who I am, and that is as a guy. And, you know, there was an admin error when I was born. So I've had to rectify the admin error through various things.
Yeah. Okay.
And I am who I am, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But if you want to do the Greek philosopher talking about being gender stuff, which I know you will.
I think very deeply. Oh no.
Like, I don't think gender is innate. I think it's just a thing. I think it's just a label that we put to stuff, a way of conceptualizing ourselves. Because I think if gender was innate, there would be some, like the whole divine masculine feminine stuff, which always makes me feel a bit
Yeah.
because it very often seems to justify quite traditional gender roles for both sides, which I'm very skeptical of. Is if the way we think about gender right now in terms of male and female, masculine and feminine, were innate, there would be strong commonalities in the